I grew up on this land, so that's one aspect of it. I'm from the Miccosukee tribe. We're not gonna take it up the ass. Like, we're not gonna bend over and let you do us like that. We have a long ongoing fight for this land, and it's just history. It's our history, you know?
Hey, it's Jordan with Status Coup.
This is Ashley with Status Coup.
On the ground.
In Philadelphia.
Flint, Michigan. East Palestine, Ohio. Please support the leading independent news outlet on the ground.
Covering what the corporate media covers up. I am speaking with Trish about why she showed up today for the protest by outside of what people are calling Alligator Alcatraz, the new detention center in the middle of the Everglades. So Trish, why did you show up with your beautiful dog today?
Me and Hobie showed up today because we felt that this is an important, obviously, like I grew up on this land, so that's one aspect of it, right? You know, I'm a tribal member of I'm from the Miccosukee tribe. We are one of the demographics directly affected by this. I think I've gone to the last protests, of course, the two held these previous weekends, and I very much enjoyed that, except there was one issue that I and a lot of other youth and just people in general recognized, which was those protests were lacking intersectionality, which we think is the only way we can, being intersectional is the only way you can sort of solve any problems. If your politics aren't based in intersectionality, you won't get very far with that at all. Yeah, so just to show solidarity with our Latin community affected as well.
Yeah, and for people who might be watching this and are not fully familiar with what you mean when you say intersectionality as it pertains to this particular struggle, can you explain a little bit more? Because I think it's, you know, we're in the middle of the Everglades. Like the environmental angle to that is pretty obvious. You don't want to pollute the Everglades. And as people may or may not know, the Everglades supplies like 8 million people in Florida with water. So that's a good portion of the state. So those things are pretty, they have been well represented. And again, it's the kind of thing that you will just kind of get. And obviously, like, the detention centers have been in the news. There were 2 people who just died over the last couple of days. So, like, you know, the human rights angle is also well represented. There's another angle to this particular struggle, though, here, that this is tribal land. So can you speak a little bit more to that for, again, people who are maybe not familiar with this other aspect of this particular detention center?
Well, I will say that Jetport is not tribal land anymore. That was actually taken away from us a while ago, but it is still a part of our community, right? Because we are on, we're on tribal land right now. We are on some Seminole members. We're on Seminole family property. Sorry, we're on Seminole property, basically, and not too far is our reservation. And so this area is just surrounded by native land, even if that Jetport isn't ours specifically. But no, it definitely does have a direct impact on us as well. But, you know, we grew up, like, going to Jetport. A lot of us have experiences of just riding around there. You know, a lot of activists for our tribe coming from, like, our own community members fought for that land in 1970. They protested so that it wouldn't be built as the world's largest, or Florida's largest airport or whatever, I don't know. But yeah, so we have a long ongoing fight for this land, and it's just history. It's our history, you know? Just to show people that you care, just so your government knows that you care too, just so, because I feel like even with the Alligator Alcatraz, they're sort of testing us. They're seeing if we're just gonna sit back and watch it happen. And, you know, we gotta show them that we're not gonna, oh, I almost said something bad. We're not gonna let you do, we're not gonna take it up the ass. Like, we're not gonna bend over and let you do us like that. Yeah. But,
I mean, I would just add, you know, no, I won't go on a long, you know, rant, I promise. But, you know, just to add, Trump did say earlier today that this could serve as a model for the rest of the country for detention centers. And, you know, that's, to your point, that they're testing us. Yeah. That is evidence of that.
Support this critically important on-the-ground reporting as a Status Coup member and get great perks. Become a member right here.
We are within the area that is like tribal property. So that's an important distinction too. And it kind of reminds me of Newark. In that, I spoke with a lot of organizers in Newark who, there's a large immigrant population in that area. And there's also 2 detention centers within like 20 minutes away from each other, right smack in the middle of like I think the high school is over there. So their high school is over there. A lot of like important community spaces are right where the 2 detention centers are, and there's going to be a third set up again right in that same area. So it's kind of like what you're saying reminds me of what organizers there said, that like this is our space. Yeah. This is where working people, this is where working class people from this community come to gather. Their kids go to school here. There's a library here. It's very, very similar here.
Yeah, you just telling me, I definitely recognize the parallels, and it just goes to show that the intersectionality that we are trying to provide here is very much needed so that we can understand each other and fight for each other and change conditions not only for ourselves but for everybody else who are affected.
And again, it's like, talking about Newark too, like there's an environmental justice aspect there too. I mean, it's not in the middle of the Everglades. That's not where it is. It's in the middle of Newark. It's a city, but it's also surrounded by a lot of industry. And when we went to like Delaney Hall, which I'm sure that, you've heard in the news, that's where Mayor Ross Baraka was detained by ICE. So like that detention center has been, again, there's been a lot of publicity. John Farina, our camera guy, was there covering a riot that was held there over poor conditions. So people were not getting enough food, enough water. So there was a like prison riot there, which again, John Farina covered.
I did hear back from Senator Kim's office. They confirmed that there was actually an uprising inside. And what we're hearing is that this all started because people were not being fed. And we've been hearing this for weeks. Yeah. And we've been reporting it to everybody for weeks, too, that people are getting 2 meals a day. Sometimes the meals are ramen noodles. What we heard today is that it was either a single hot dog or it was 2 slices of bread and a bottle of water. Jeez. Was what they were served for lunch, and they hadn't eaten in 20 hours. So, and the meals are not regular, so it's like they could be fed at like 6 or 7 o'clock in the morning and then not eat again until 10 o'clock at night. So it's really awful, and that's just like part of what's going on. There's like scalding hot water. There's water that you can't drink because it's got a weird taste to it. There's all kinds of the smells that you smell around here, which I know your viewers can't understand, but it's like the most disgusting odor. It stays with us for hours. Some of us lose our sense of taste after being down here for a couple of hours.
Again, like echoing what's happening here, because when you go to Newark and you stand outside of Delaney Hall, you can smell all of the different factories that are around there. There's like a fat rendering factory, I believe, in that area. There's a wastewater recycling treatment center, I believe, that's also over there. And you can just smell it. And it's like, of course, all of these things intersect with one another. It's not just that it's an environmental issue. It is also, an issue of like the community and the makeup of the community and where you're putting these detention centers. And it is particularly threatening to have a detention center in the middle of, a population that is going to be subject to what's happening at the detention center at higher rates than the rest of the population.
No, I think you very much encapsulated the whole issue very well. It definitely is just a matter of human rights being violated, right? And that's also, like the environmental issue and the human rights violations, those issues go hand in hand. You can't separate the two. And yeah, all I have to say is that I think today was proof that community will always take care of community, even if your government's not doing that for you. So I hope the people remember that. I don't know, but yeah.
I hope so too. Is there anything else that you would want to add for viewers of Status Coup about why it's important to show up for this however they are able to?
The more, the more experience you have, the better, the more organized you become, and the more organized you become, the more work you can get done. And I don't know, that's just... Education is key, caring is key. I don't know, that's all I gotta say. And showing up is key, right? Showing up for your community, but you also have to take care of yourself first because, caring for community isn't possible if you're not cared for or if you're not in a good space. But yeah, that's all.
Thank you so much, Trish. I appreciate it. And thank you so much. I'm sorry, Mavi? Hobie. Hobie. Do you have anything to say?